let's get a breaking news in Buena Park where people are stuck on a ride at Knott's Berry Farm. Desmond Shaw live overhead in KCAL for us. Des?
Juan, I have to imagine it is the worst nightmare for any park goer here at Knott's Berry Farm, and they are stuck right now on the Soul Spin. Looks like it is just about completely packed here. You see, it looks like it got stuck halfway in the air. They have a lift here. If they're coming to look at the machinery, if they're going to have to lift people out individually, we'll see how this goes. Some people in a very awkward spot right now. The people that are stuck on it look like they're maybe just kind of more annoyed than anything. Haven't heard any reports of any injuries or how long they've all been stuck here, but pretty unfortunate. You come down here to Knott's Berry Farm and end up getting stuck on such a beautiful day at this theme park. Live at KCAL overhead, I'm Desmond Shaw. Juan, back to you now in the studio.
Yeah, we're looking at your shot right now, Desmond. We're seeing the folks that are facing us. What about the people not facing us? Or are any of them upside down or in any weird position?
Come to the other side. We'll see it here. I'll have my pilot Dylan see if he can come to the west side and see it. I don't think anyone is completely upside down. The people here on this kind of bottom spoke looks like they're sideways right now. You can see their feet all dangling there. It's got to be it must just be a very strange and uncomfortable thing. So you see how they brought this big lift in right here, this boom, and see how they're going to have to very gingerly take each person out one at a time, or see if something is stuck in the machinery that they're able to fix and at least get it back towards its normal kind of parked position there on the ground. I don't think I've ever seen a theme park ride stuck like this before. Obviously, I've got to imagine it's always kind of in the back of your head, right? If you're coming to a theme park that something like this could happen. We've all heard the horror stories like with Ferris wheels and county fairs and stuff, but at a really big theme park like this, I think it is an exceedingly rare occurrence, but doesn't matter to these folks how rare it is because they are stuck on it right now.
Oh my goodness, and young and old right there definitely has to be scary. Our Mike Rogers on the desk also monitoring this breaking news. Mike, what can you tell us?
Yeah, so we're finally hearing from Knott's Berry Farm. This apparently happened at 2 o'clock. So these guys have been in this position for over 2 hours now.
My gosh.
Knott's Berry Farm says this is a technical difficulties, which I think is obvious here. Now, what is interesting, though, Juan and Des, the fire department does not have a response here yet. So it'll be interesting, and that's what it looks like he's trying to see if they can fix the mechanics of it. If they have to evacuate each one of these people out of each of these chairs, that is going to be quite the undertaking. That will definitely, I would assume, require a fire department response to have some sort of technical rescue, probably urban search and rescue to be brought in, because they'll have to get up here and one by one get these people down. And the people that are on the left side of the screen that are sitting up are probably going to be the easier ones. Obviously, the people that are in that more precarious kind of sideways angle would definitely be more difficult to get them out. I don't see a situation where Knott's would try to evacuate these folks on their own. I would assume they would bring in the Orange County Fire Authority that handles the Buena Park area to do that. But yeah, again, the Soul Spin ride is what this is. Experienced technical difficulties, according to Knott's, causing the ride to stop. And we are now dealing with the situation for more than 2 hours. And again, Knott's is handling this on their own. They have not brought in the fire department yet.
And look at the guy, the third guy up from that cherry picker that Desmond is focusing on right there. I mean, look at him. I mean, it looks like it is uncomfortable. You're on your side, and this cherry picker here can maybe grab maybe 1 or 2 people tops, right? And if this has been going on for 2 hours, imagine that. I guess they're bringing one person down.
Well, it looks like what they're probably doing. So we're probably going to see a situation where they are going to evacuate people off, because what it looks like they're doing now is actually attaching some safety ropes. So this actually, ironically, I got stuck on a ride once at Six Flags where they had to, before they evacuated us off of it, they had to secure the ride to make sure that it didn't move. Now that they don't want it to move, they want it to stay in place so that they can get these people out of there. And if that's what they're doing right now, then this is going to be quite the operation to one by one get each of those people out of that very difficult situation.
Right. So they're not even using that cherry picker to bring people off. You're saying maybe it's to attach some support cables?
You can see on Dez's shot right there, they've got one cable already attached, and it looks like they're bringing in a second cable right there. Yeah, see, so I would assume that now that they're in this position, they've had 2 hours to obviously try to figure this out. I would assume that they're not going to go forward with trying to get it to come down now that they've attached those cables like that. I assume we're now going to see a situation where they evacuate the people. Will they do that on their own, or will they request Orange County Fire Authority to come in and help them? As I've mentioned, OCFA has not gotten a call for this yet. They are not assisting in any way right now. This is an incident that is being run entirely by Knott's Berry Farm.
And we're lucky, right, that nobody is technically upside down, but look at those people there on that left.
But sitting sideways like that.
Sitting sideways like that for a long time. And
over
you
2
do
hours.
feel somewhat safe because you're strapped in. You've got that bar that goes over your shoulders down into your waist.
Yeah.
But just how uncomfortable is it? We do see some people looking okay. The younger kids were waving at Desmond for a little bit. But I'm wondering, again, back to those cables, Mike, is it just in case the ride were to suddenly like lose its brake or something and it would come down, or what do you think?
Yeah, that would be my assumption, just to get it some more secure. It looks like, Des, are they tying it? What are they tying it to? The fence or the ground? Can you tell?
Well, let's see here. Got this guy kind of positioning. It looks like maybe they're wrapping it around the metal poles there on the ground, possibly. They might be getting ready to secure more of it right now, but you know, for sure there is a procedure for, you know, just such an occasion. I'm sure you have mechanics always kind of standing by ready for something like this, and it's just so unfortunate when you think about how expensive theme parks are and how long the lines can be to get on these rides, and you get so excited, you get on here, and then you get stuck for a couple of hours. Really beautiful day out here as well, just perfect textbook weather, and really just something that can completely ruin your theme park experience. But you know, at least nobody injured at this point, and hopefully they are taking the steps to get them down here sooner rather than later. I would be incredibly frustrated if I was stuck on one of these for more than 2 hours now.
Especially if you're the ones on the bottom that are just like almost, you know,
worst
they're not
ones,
upside
right?
down, but they're certainly sideways trying to deal with all of this.
And when we know in these rides, when we come to a stop and they reload new passengers, all those bars come up at once. So is there a fail-safe there where you can do one at a time and bring them down? But even in these positions, these that we see right here in the middle of the screen, they're kind of tilted forward a little bit. So even if you did unlock that safety bar, it'd be kind of scary and dangerous.
Right, no, for sure. The good news is that this isn't a roller coaster, right? So we're not talking about something that is suspended incredibly high in the air. This is certainly higher than anybody wants to be stuck, but this is a very reachable situation for ladders, a reachable situation for that cherry picker. This is not something where they're gonna have to do kind of rope rescue type things. I would assume that there is a fail-safe or a mechanism that would allow them to open each chair kind of individually, as you see them
what he's doing there?
setting up that rope again,
He's attaching that cable to some support anchors that are in the cement. So this must be some sort of procedure that they planned for, hopefully, right?
Planned for and practiced, So I would assume that the chairs have mechanisms where you can undo one at a time. Obviously, you don't want however many of those, 7 of them or whatever, coming up at the same time. But I would assume that they've got plans for that. And again, because of the height, the relativity to the ground, hopefully they can just put a bucket kind of underneath of that person, excuse me, and when they open it, be able to just kind of gently lower them down. Now, will they put any kind of safety harness on the person before they let the chair up, or how all of that is going to work? We are going to try to get a hold of Orange County Fire Authority one more time. We did call them right before we went on the air just to see if they're aware of this situation, if Knott is asking them for help at all, or what, if any, their involvement is. But as I mentioned, at this point, we don't see any fire department officials down there, and according to the systems that I have, it doesn't look like they have been even requested yet. So,
Well, that guy's on his phone. He's talking to the guy next to him. So hopefully they're still in good spirits, Mike. And I counted, it's 6 passengers per arm, and there's 6 arms. So there's 36 people almost on the ride there that need to be taken down. There are a couple of empty seats, but still it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 36 people.
Yeah, and the other thing, and Des, sometimes the camera plays a little trickery. They're not moving it, right? That's just our camera moving a little bit, or our helicopter?
You know, I was actually just asking myself that in my head because it does kind of look like the ride is lurching a little bit, but then, you know, we're also kind of swaying a little bit back and forth up here in KCAL. So I can't quite tell if the ride is moving yet at this point. I don't believe it is. They're just trying to get it all secure for whatever the next step is going to be in this lengthy process. But yeah, I'm kind of impressed with, I mean, just kind of zooming in on these folks that are, you know, stuck in the worst, most uncomfortable angle. I mean, they seem to be in pretty good spirits. Don't see anyone, you know, yelling or cursing or anything. You saw that one guy on his phone, and other people kind of smiling down there. So just, you know, remarkable patience for such a weird and frustrating situation. You had these kids up here waving at us as well. So
yeah, we saw that.
you know, hey, I'm sure the kids are happy to at least be on the news right now, but not for something so frustrating as being stuck on the soul spin.
Well, my guesses are going to be giving out 36 annual passes to these people here just for their trouble. Mike, you were saying you were stuck on a ride once.
Yeah.
What did they do in your case?
So in our situation, it was a little bit different. It was one of those kind of like water toboggan ride type things.
Right.
So there was a catwalk next to us. So we got stuck at the top. They had to come in, and almost similar to this, where they stopped all the water. They attached the boat to the side of the railing of the ride. But it was a long process for them to do kind of this similar thing where they did all of that. And then one by one, they had us come down and walk down a very small catwalk. Obviously, you can't do that in this situation, and it's a little bit more precarious that you're in a seat like this. But it looks like they're taking all the steps to make sure that ride doesn't move. And as either you or Des kind of pointed out, there is those hooks in the ground already. So definitely something that they appear to have practiced for, which is a great thing. So hopefully the practice that they did will pay off in this situation. But to Des's point about the people that are kind of in that most uncomfortable situation, thank goodness that everyone is calm, right? Could you imagine how hectic it would be if you were next to a person that was going through a really bad time with this and panicking and having all of those kinds of issues? So it is good that the group that is there is able to remain calm, because certainly freaking out isn't going to make this go by any quicker.
Well, let's be real here, right? The people who are interested in these thrill rides tend to be a little younger, tend to be a little more adventure seeking. So this is a story for them to tell. I had a similar story, not that exciting, Mike, also at Disney World in Florida. The Snow White ride all of a sudden stopped, and they just turned the lights on and we walked out. So that wasn't a big deal, and on our way we went. So this is going to be much longer. And as you were telling us, this has been going on for 2 hours now.
It has. And I really quick, and it's going to take them a second, but control room, if you can get my computer ready, I want to show you some video from the ground, and it gives you a bit of a perspective on how high up they are. They're not as tall as a roller coaster, obviously, but from our helicopter, the things get a little bit difficult to kind of get a good relative distance. So they're going to pull that up in a second here, and I'll show it to you, and you can just kind of get a better gauge of how high they are up.
There it is.
Here it is right here. So there you can see, this is video from the Citizen app, and you can see there's the ground. So they're up there, right? They're not, as high as a roller coaster, as I've mentioned, but that's not a short distance.
But that perspective even makes it look a little more like, oh my goodness, right?
Yeah, especially if you're that group on the top there.
Well, we're going to keep monitoring the situation. I'd love to see maybe, Mike, next time the ride in action. Maybe we can find
what it looks like
on YouTube or something, what this ride looks like when it's actually in operation. All right, we're going to move on here with more news. All right, let's go back to that breaking news in Buena Park, where people are stuck on a ride at Knott's Berry Farm. Apparently this has been going on for 2 hours or so. Our Desmond Shaw live in KCAL with more. Des.
Well, Juan, it looks like they're trying to winch this ride back to its parked position so they can just unload everyone at the same time. Since our last report, I've seen the ride move at least a little bit here. Every time that they kind of winch it down, it looks like it lurches forward, but it's obviously not something that they can do very quickly. We've definitely seen some people get into at least a little bit better of a position than they had been. These people right here who had been completely sideways at one point were definitely in the worst position. But so everyone just, being extremely patient here. A lot of different workers. You can see they're kind of having to reattach these cables, and it seems like move them to different angles to hopefully, get this ordeal over with. But yeah, more than 2 hours. I just hope that no one was overly hydrated before they got on this ride, if you know what I mean. But hopefully it will be done soon here on the Soul Spinner at Knott's Berry Farm. Juan, back to you in the studio.
Does look a little different. All right, keep us posted with whatever's going out there. Desmond, thank you. Thanks for keeping tabs on the guests stuck on a ride at Knott's as crews work to eventually get them off. Oh, we're not going anywhere. Mike, what's going on here? Looks like they're coming down.
So they just, as Desmond was mentioning, they've been slowly kind of winching it down, and it looks like just now they have finally gotten it all the way to the ground level. And look at that.
Almost feet on the ground.
Touching the ground, Juan, So, look, that was the best case scenario, right? They were able to manually do it. They didn't have to, cherry pick anybody off of the thing. And so now, hopefully, in just a couple seconds, we'll see the restraints lift, and those people will hopefully be able to get out. But almost 2.5 hours now since this whole thing started that those people have been sitting there.
Yeah, the best news that we're reporting here is that everybody is safe. They seem to be safe, and they're probably very excited to get off this ride now. And what's interesting was this ride must have been really stuck for them to have to, like Des was saying, just basically pull it down using those cables, sort of winch style of approach, which I guess they were ready for. Since here we go, running to the bathroom, perhaps, as Desmond. Nice to see this coming to an end here, Desmond, huh?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, everyone's probably just very happy to be back
Look at the way he's
on their
walking.
feet, doing some stretches, and be back on terra firma here at Knott's Berry Farm. So we'll see what's going to happen. They're going to have a very good social media story at the very least, and like you were saying, Juan, I'm sure they're going to get some kind of
for sure.
compensation for all this, and hopefully more than just expensive drink vouchers.
And you can see they have zero interest of kind of just hanging out and talking to each other. They want out. They want to get out of here. And of course, sunset's going to be happening in a little bit, so things are going to get a lot chillier. Yeah, so I'm sure they're very glad to be off the ride. Mike, what do you see?
You got medics waiting there on the left. You see the 2 empty wheelchairs and a couple of park medics looking to check anybody out if they need it. Hopefully that's not the case, but yeah.
Looks like everybody's off, right?
Yeah, got to go get in line for the next one.
Yep.
Sure looks like it. Well, we're really glad to see everybody is safe. So, producer, are we continuing or are we going to break? All right. We're going to continue with more news here, and we're glad to see this ride is finally back on the ground.